This is GPC.
This is GPC. This is GPC.
Hello and welcome to the start of the 78th Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race live stream. I'm David Hamilton, Commodore of the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, and I have a small confession. Even though this stream is live to the world through our YouTube channel, this welcome isn't. I had to pre-record it because the briefing night is on shortly, and I'm right now on the helm of my own yacht into Port Skimmer getting ready for the race start. And unfortunately, I can't be in two places at once. This year, 29 yachts are set to tackle this iconic 308 nautical mile course. We're proud to partner again with the Multi-Hull Yacht Club of Queensland to showcase both monohull and multi-hull racing in Australia. Boats like the 100-foot Wild Thing, skippered by Grant Warrington, to the compact 30-foot Mustang, skippered by Michael Muller, to the 120-year-old Maritimo Cat Wincher, skippered by legendary yachtsman Michael Spees, to the 69-foot Catamaran Miu, skippered by Drew Carruthers. We have an eclectic fleet full of eager crews ready to race. I'd like to warmly welcome all of our sailors competing for the first time or those returning for another shot at the crown. Special welcome to our international entrant, V5, skippered by Brian Peterson, all the way from the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, joining us in our warm Queensland waters. A big thanks to our naming rights sponsor, Gladstone Ports Corporation, as well as the Gladstone Regional Council, Adina Watches, Brisbane City Council, and all sponsors and supporters and the volunteers who make this race happen. Now, enjoy the coverage. We'll see you in Gladstone. Fair winds and safe sailing to all competitors.
The 2026 Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is brought to you by our principal naming rights partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation. Adina Watches, official timekeeper of the B2G. The generous support from these race partners. And this live stream event is brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council's Easter in Gladstone.
Welcome to North Brisbane. Welcome to Sandgate, the home of the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, the organising authority of the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race. And today, Good Friday, for the 78th consecutive time, Moreton Bay becomes the epicentre of world sailing. Hi, I'm Grant Cooper in the bright Queensland sun, and I'm lucky that each year we assemble some incredibly talented and respected sailors and commentators to make things tick. Joining us for the second time, dual Olympian, silver medalist, four-time Australian Female Sailor of the Year, on-water analyst for Sail GP, and the recently married Lisa Darmanin.
Thanks, Grant. It's great to be here. This year, I'm really looking forward to Wild Thing 100 being back on the star line after they couldn't get here last year. I'm also looking forward to seeing Back to Black with their stack crew lineup and, of course, diving into all the rivalries throughout the fleet.
And also champion sailor, coach, sailing analyst and helm of Bar Karate, the sailing podcast, and the only commentator I know that works for a sausage and bread and a Bundaberg ginger beer, Jordan Spencer.
G'day, mate. G'day, Lisa.
Look, I'm very excited. We have got perfect conditions for this year's Brisbane to Gladstone. This is what everyone comes to do, the Brisbane to Gladstone for. Strong winds, 15 to 25 knots, southeast, it's downwind, big sails, hang on and enjoy the ride.
By the way, Nick Bice reckons we pay you still too much. With under an hour to go, we better head upstairs and get this show on the road. Welcome to the Gladstone Ports Corporation 2026 Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race.
It's been a long, hard season. I'm feeling weary to my bones. I guess that's my reason. I've packed my bags and now I'm gone. Somewhere between the sun and the deep blue sea. That's very far. Somewhere between the sun and the deep blue sea. That's very far. If you must, oh,
being streamed live to the world through the official Brisbane to Gladstone Race YouTube channel. Make sure you hit subscribe within the next couple of hours as well. On the jumbo screen at East Shores, those watching at the long lunch being held in the B2G Village in Gladstone, and those downstairs here at the QCYC Race Day Brunch. It's the start of the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race for 2026. 26 monohulls, 3 multis on Moreton Bay, getting ready for this year's race. And as we had perfect sunshine just a minute ago, now the rain has set in. Only for a little while, let's hope. It's going to be very easy to pick the line honours winner this year, all going well for them. It's going to be harder to predict the winner of Courier Mail Cup. Last year won by Glenn Burrell out of the Southport Sailing Club. Black Diamond won't be with us again this year. So it's wide open. Lisa, it is wide open.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We've got a downwind race ahead of us, and we've got some good competition within the fleet. As I mentioned, I'm really excited to see Back to Black, the GP 42. We've also got the HH 42 Touche 42, so those Super 40s, and then we've got 2 TP 52s that I think will have a fun ride and pretty close racing.
Last year we last year we were supposed to have a 100-footer in the race, Grant Warrington's Wild Thing, and this year he's made the start line. And I know Warwick, who held the race record on Scandia for some years, that he wants that 2022 B2G race record back from Peter Harburg's Blackjack 100, skippered by Squark, Mark Bradford, when they lapped 16 hours, 13 minutes and 56 seconds. But, Jordan Spencer, are these conditions conducive to a race record?
Oh, they're absolutely conducive to a race record. It's a dream. It's dream conditions. It's definitely what you want. Will they get to the race record? I think they're going to just fall outside at the moment. Current modelling suggests they're probably going to be a couple of hours outside, but it is definitely a potential.
Are you going to say a time that you think they might be in at this early point?
If you want to set your alarm and get up early, I'd say probably 5:30, 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. is what I think they'd probably hit.
Yep, there you go. He's laid that down. So make sure you set your alarms for that. But I'd be watching the Yellow Brick Yacht Tracker. We'll tell you more about that as we go through this morning. The Brisbane, look, last year without any 100-foot entries, we had the closest line honours finish in some years when Bill Barry Cotter's Maritimo 52 skippered by Michael Spees, pipped the environmentally modified TP52 of Ocean Crusaders, Jaybird, skippered by the beautiful Annika Thompson, by only 3 minutes and 37 seconds. There's going to be a real battle in that 40 to 50-foot fleet, Geordie. Obviously, the first over the line, possibly all going well, will be a standout. That's a wild thing, just due to waterline length. The real battle is going to be in those 40 to 50s.
40 to 50-foot range is the Grand Prix yachting range around the world, where all the top pros, all the big events like the Admiral's Cup and things like that, where the Grand Prix racing is, and you've got the red hot crews live in that space. So yes, that's we could expect a champion to come out of there.
The Brisbane Gladstone Organising Committee would love to have more classic and vintage yachts entered. There's some great handicap events for them in this race. And as it's one of the more friendly ocean races on the East Coast, this year they'll have a real classic in the race. Legend sailor Michael Spees won't be at the pointy end of the fleet this year, instead opting to helm Maritimo Catwincher, a 31-foot built 1904 Watney, built in the Watney Brewery in London, which leads me to believe if it was built in a brewery, it was one of those things that said over a couple of years, want to build a boat? But that is going to be a classic in this year's race, Lise.
Yeah, it's incredible. We were actually lucky enough to talk to Speesy just a few moments before he headed out on the water. And with the forecast modelling at the moment, they're pretty confident. They won the inaugural, I think it was Gold Coast to Mackay race, or I can't remember, but he said of similar conditions, and they were really up there against the TP52s on the overall handicap. I think it's just, has an incredible story, that boat, how they completely refitted it, redid it, and ready for racing. But Geordie's got some good inside information to Maritimo Cat, which are some of the mods that they've done.
Oh, yeah. They've done quite a bit of mods because it used to be a catch, so they've taken the catch off. They've gone from wheel steering to a tiller steering. It's a carbon mast painted to look like wood. It's got an 18-foot skiff boom on it. It's got the world's smallest toilet, I've been told, on it as well. But it doesn't mind the downwind, and it's got symmetrical spinnakers, and we're just discussing this morning about the way that wind is going to set up for the second day, and the symmetrical spinnaker boats could actually go reasonably well. So.
Okay, on the screen now you can see we've been graced by an international entry representing the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, that being V5 and the Alan Andrews TP52, built by Dencho Marine in Long Beach, California. She's carrying a camera for us this year, and we thank Brian for doing that. But she's have to be up there as one of the favourites for the race, the Courier Mail Cup.
Yeah, as a TP52, as you said, Brian Peterson skippering. They've also got a little bit of a hybrid crew between youth and experience, Aussies, Kiwis. I think there's a German and a Brit on board. So they're our international representation, as you said, and I'm really excited to have a camera on board. You can see right there, they're already talking about the strategy for the race, what the plan is. Rain's rolled in. So we think that rain might keep rolling out, but yeah, for now, it's going to be a fun one to watch, and they'll have a good competition against the boat that won overall last year.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our cameras at waterline level for a little while. It's raining pretty heavy out there, and we'll get our drones in the sky as soon as we can. The virtual Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is on again this year. Sailonline.org, friends of the B2G, will again bring the virtual race to your computer screens. And the virtual race starts at the same time, which is 11 o'clock today, Australian Eastern Standard Time, in about about 45 minutes. This year, the yacht design that the competitors will be sailing to Gladstone is virtually a far 40. So she's going to be a bit slower race than the year that it was Blackjack 100. And look, it's a bit of fun if you enjoy racing. It's got all the little bits and pieces, all your VMRs, all your wind angles, everything, speed, and you just don't get wet. That's an easy way of doing it. It's not as easy as you think. Have you had a crack?
No, but I've talked to some of the people that do, and this virtual community is massive in sailing. Like there's guys that live this, and so yeah, it's really exciting. I have talked to a few people that have entered, fallen asleep, and run aground in their boats.
It's easy to do, let I just say. Head to brisbane-to-gladstone.com/race-virtually, and good luck. And like I said, it's not as easy as you think. 45 minutes away from the start of this fantastic race, and the wonderful thing about Queensland, the weather changes quickly, not as quickly as Melbourne, but it's certainly, we had beautiful sunshine early this morning, but this rain is expected to wash across the course area while we're inside Moreton Bay for the next 15 to 20 minutes.
Well, southeasterly, onshore breeze, it's strong. It's the direction we want, but it also brings moisture onshore, so we have to pay the price sometimes.
Thanks. All right. Well, there's us sitting in the wonderful air-conditioned room here at the QCYC upstairs. There's those yachtsmen and women who have got their wet weather gear on, and then there's others who are sitting on the start boat, which is South Pacific 2 again this year, who have got caviar, champagne, prawns, probably peeled and dipped in mango, something along those lines. And we have the beautiful Nat Cooper out on board South Pacific with a couple of dignitaries. So let's cross to South Pacific now and see who she's got. I think she's got the mayor.
Thanks, Grant. I'm here with Gladstone Regional Council Mayor Matt Burnett. Good morning.
Morning, Nat. Fantastic day. A little bit cloudy here in Brisbane.
We are getting slightly swept away, but that's all right. Hey, the GRC is also sponsoring the live stream yet again this year. How important is this digital coverage for connecting the wider community, but also putting Gladstone on the world stage?
Yeah, absolutely. So people watching right around the world are looking at the Brisbane to Gladstone yacht race now, wondering where Gladstone is. But of course, everyone in Gladstone knows exactly where it is, and that's why they're celebrating Easter in Gladstone. So whether they're at the GECC food court at the Gladstone Harbour Festival, watching it on the big screen at East Shores, or the lucky buggers at the long lunch at the B2G Village.
I wish I was there. Although, how good is this?
This is fantastic. A little bit of wind, but it's all right. I love it.
Yeah, Easter in Gladstone really has become a key long weekend event, and also built around the Brisbane to Gladstone yacht race. What do you think it is that keeps the locals there and also attracts the visitors to the region?
Well, it started with the yacht race, obviously over 75 years of racing. 78 years.
78 this year.
78 years this year, fantastic. But we've got the Gladstone Harbour Festival, we've got the B2G Village, so there's a seafood festival in there, there's a
Sorry,
sound
what do you want me
sanctuary,
to
the
do?
Lion Crossing party, we've got the races at the Turf Club, the Speedway, the raft race this morning.
Yeah.
There's just so much happening around Easter. It's about bringing your friends and families back home, but it's also inviting everyone around Queensland, around Australia to enjoy it.
Totally. And you have done the race before and you do love it. This year you're not, but you are going to be jumping on a plane, heading back to Gladstone this afternoon and meeting those yachties as they cross the finish line, giving them that iconic carton of beer. What else can they expect?
Yeah, obviously, well, the carton of beer is very important. Let me tell you,
It is.
a good hour or so before the finish line, you're all thinking about that beer. So every single entrant in the Brisbane to Gladstone gets a carton of beer and a medallion to say, that's your participation in the race. We have the trophy presentation at the Yacht Club on the Monday as well, and we've got the Governor of Queensland joining us for that.
Fantastic.
The Governor and her husband will be in Gladstone for Harbour Festival Sunday night. Series of events on Sunday. But it's all about bringing the families back to Gladstone and about celebrating Easter in Gladstone. And I know we got the city to Hobart. Obviously, it's a big time at Christmas time, but Easter time, the best place in Australia to be is Gladstone.
Oh, absolutely. So, Courier Cup.
Courier Mail Cup.
Courier Mail Cup. Who's your pick?
Well, I'm going for one of the locals, so either Restless or Balancing Act. I'm hoping to see. I reckon they can do it. Well, who knows how this weather's going to go. Spinnaker's up hopefully soon, but we'll see how we go. But I hope a local can get the Courier Mail Cup.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you, Nat, and thank you, Mayor, and the Gladstone Regional Council, bringing you this live broadcast. And we're also being able to bring you some competitors who are out on the water lease.
Yeah, we're lucky enough to go on board now with Mustang, with Michael Muller. Michael's owned Mustang for 6 years, started 10, Brisbane to Gladstone's finished 8th. Let's hope this is another finish. Good morning, Michael. Can you give us a rundown of your incredible yacht Mustang?
Built in 1995 by Merv Anderson. It's a Mazram 920, Merv Anderson Sandgate Road Marine. And I have on board grumpy old Crofty, who's over here, who was working. Merv, at the time, actually built the boat. Crofty and I have been sailing together for 40 years now. And I have no idea why he still is.
Excellent stuff. Hey, Michael, you've listed the 1992 built Spitzeg as one of your main rivals in this race. Now, it's probably realistic to say that you're going to be jostling more so at the rear end of the fleet, but that's where the great sailing is. Am I right?
Mate, it's all good. As long as you've got people around you that, are about the same speed and you're racing. It's fantastic. Peter Kerr on Spetzig, slippery boats, much longer, different sort of. He's a good sailor. Looking forward to that. Restless, got to beat them. Skimmer, I have to beat him by an hour over 36. So it's all on. There's probably 3 or 4 different sort of groups that are racing each other, and believe me, you can be at the back or the front, and it's just as ferocious.
Hey, listening to you, Michael, this race is perfect for all types of yachts, including the more statesman or vintage-like yachts that are still out there and very seaworthy. What would you say to inspire those skippers and owners to perhaps jump through the hoops they have to join the race next year?
Well, certainly there are a lot of hoops, but I found it absolutely worth it. And I just love this race. Well, maybe not last year when it was light on the nose, but this is really good. There's always good competition. And there's, if you have to seek shelter, there's a couple of places. You can get behind Noosa Head, get behind Double Island Point. The feeling of those ocean swells right out at Breaksea Spit, you're leaving behind the reef and then screaming down these big ocean swells across to Lady Elliot Island is just something else. And if the rain ever goes away, the sun goes down and 1 minute later tonight, the moon is going to pop up, and that just is magical.
Oh, Michael, your passion for this race is incredible. You're convincing me that I should be out there instead of in the commentary booth. But I've heard you've also got your daughter on board. She's recently transferred from equestrian to sailing with already 500 ocean miles under her belt. Hello, Anna. How has the transition gone from horses to boats?
Well, I'd have to say, and I'm sure she'd agree, that she's a much better horsewoman.
Ouch.
But, there's once again, someone else is buying the boat or the horse.
Yeah.
As you do when you're the eldest daughter. Yes, darling, whatever, darling. But she's really picking it up so quickly. Did a mad 3-person delivery on a 40-footer from Sydney to Gold Coast. The poor buggers had to dodge around not one but 2 water spouts.
Oh,
the
wow.
other guy who was on board, this reprobate over here, James. Done 500 or 600 ocean miles, and since starting sailing, last November, the complete adventurer. And I have to say, she's really picking it up quickly.
Excellent. And the fact that she's actually been our technical assistant to get you live on the air too, Michael, that certainly helps. And I was speaking to Anna earlier on, and she's saying that she's now the favourite child because one of the siblings have taken up yacht racing with Dad. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely. The others can bugger off.
Love it.
Excellent stuff. Hey, Michael, we know that you've got to start preparing for the race. It's only a bit over 40 or under 40 minutes away now. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really appreciate it. And best of luck as you travel as the smallest yacht in the fleet towards that finish line in Gladstone. We look forward to having a beer when we get there.
Oh, yeah, me too. I tell you, the prep started last September, but we're ready and we're ready to go. And those boats are around the same speed as us. Watch out.
Good on you, Michael. Thanks very much for joining with us, mate. That's fantastic. Michael Muller on board Mustang from the Royal Queensland Yacht Squadron, and he's joined us there at the start, which is fantastic. So you are watching the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race as we're getting ready for the starting gun at 11.
This is Brett Whitbread, skipper of Curb, out of the Royal Queensland Yacht Squadron, and you're watching the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race 2026.
Brisbane to me is just about trying something new.
You've got world-class restaurants, super delicious, lots of flavours.
Everywhere you go, there's great nightlife. It's laid back, and we're just hanging out in the sunshine.
Just walking around and having so much nature is insane to me.
Beautiful sky, beautiful weather. There's so much to do. You'll just never be bored.
I think Brisbane's for anyone.
Yeah, whoever.
It's lively, it's fun.
Brisbane definitely favours the bold.
100%.
Yeah.
The 2026 Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is brought to you by our principal naming rights partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation, Brisbane City Council via Brisbane Economic Development Agency. The generous support from these race partners. And this live stream event is brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council's Easter in Gladstone.
Welcome back, and there is the race course as we see it right now. A couple of little scuds shooting across the beautiful Moreton Bay. Can't really see Moreton Island there at the moment, but we hopefully will have that clearing in the next few minutes. Talking about going to Moreton Island, the first rounding mark is off Redcliffe, and of course over to the M7 and M8 beacons on Moreton. You can actually watch the boats as they perform from a godlike area with our YB yacht tracker, which is, I think it's even been updated. It looks amazing now.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it's amazing to, obviously we get to watch them start live, but to follow them as they head up the coast. There's lots of information that it gives you their speed, their direction, with the distance to the finish. It also gives you a live leaderboard. So obviously the overall, all the handicap as well, it's calculating that as you go. So plenty of information to dive into and follow along.
Yep. I actually after this, I go and sit near my house near Mooloolaba and at the headland and watch the boats come past and look at the trackers. So I've got all the information right there.
Yep, you can certainly zoom in. You can pick your favourite boat and follow it around. And tell you what, if you're in the Gladstone area and you'd like to watch the boats come across the line, this is the definitive information that you will need to know what time to be down at Patsy Lee Place to watch the boats go across the finish line. And we're suggesting at this early stage that it probably will be between that 5 to 7 a.m. mark on tomorrow morning. So with all the current wind conditions. All right, that is why, if you'd like to find that, go to the brisbanetogladstone.com website, and you'll be able to follow the links to get to the YB tracker. So you can have that on your desktop or on your phone, either one. Okay, let's have a look at some of the boats that we'll be able to grab at the moment. This looks like this is M52, if I'm not mistaken.
You're not mistaken.
So they've got a new skipper this year with Peter Hollis, who picked up the boat, I guess, after last year. So this, as we said, is a Rackle Pew TP52. So I think they'll enjoy the conditions out there. They've got quite an interesting crew lineup, the M52. They've got Silas Nolan on board. I think, Geordie, you know him well.
Yes, South Australian pro sailor on all the top campaigns, won the Sydney Hobart quite a few times. I've had some correspondence with him this morning, and he has promised a wave at the start.
Great, excellent. Now, this was, I think you mentioned last year's Line Honours winner. Where do you think it's going to feature this year with the other TP52 that's in the race? It looks like it's a TP race, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, because the tide comes into play, and as they come into Gladstone Harbour, there's a lot of tide that will affect the timing, and it looks like the TPs will make it in before they have to face the outgoing tide. They're budgeting maybe 24 hours on their modelling. It'll be just a battle to the death, actually. It'll be a great battle. They'll be focused on each other.
Excellent stuff. And if you're a bit confused, as what I have been in the past, then TP52 is actually a box rule, isn't it? So you've got different boat builders building different designs as long as it fits within the box rule.
That's exactly right. Yep. So not a one design class, a box rule class.
Excellent. For those who are watching in the Port Curtis Sailing Club and in Gladstone, there's one of the favourites for you guys. Of course, we've got Tony Craner's balancing act, but here is Restless.
Yeah, Restless. So John's got over 20 Brisbane to Gladstones up his sleeve. As you said, this is a local boat. It is a Cape 35. So it still holds the race record for the Yeppoon Mackay race, and it's the 11th Brisbane to Gladstone yacht race in a row for this boat. So they've been doing it for well over a decade.
Well, they've talked themselves up on the best dressed crew list, so I was quite interested to see what they were going to come up with. It might all be under the rain gear at the moment, unfortunately.
I've asked them what their pump-up song was, and it's We Will Rock You by Queen, and they reckon their lucky charm is a stash of rum. Interesting, so there you go. There's some... finally, the rain is cleared and we've got some drones in the air. Look at that. Really starting to take shape. That's the course area here on Moreton Bay, so fantastic stuff. Talking about this one is Barracuda. This one is from the Curtis Coast. For those in Yeppoon, here is your entrance. And Barracuda is a wonderful boat, skippered by Tim McCall. And she was trailed down here and launched yesterday, or a couple of days ago now. And it's a Thompson T30.
The only boat that's turned up to the race on a trailer, which is a great thing. And the Thompson boats are designed to go downwind. They're fast, they're light, and they will be absolutely loving this race. Tim's racing with his sons as well on board. There's going to be quite a family mix going on there. So it'd be a really enjoyable boat to do the Brisbane to Gladstone.
I did mention to Tim that it's all Yeppoon, and he goes, no, we've had to get a Gladstone lad on board. So even though a little bit of rivalry in between there. So as we cruise over the area, there's that big one. You'll know what she is, and you'll see her coming for a long way. Here is Grant Warrington's Wild Thing. What I think we've got Warro that might be able to introduce Wild Thing to us and tell us a little bit about this fantastic boat that was a Bosun 80 that is now a custom 100. Let's see if Grant's all ready to go. I can see him, but I can't hear him. But anyway, here we go.
Grant Warrington. I'm the owner and skipper of Wild Thing 100. Well, originally the boat was 80 feet long, and we added 2 metres on the stern and cut the bow off just in front of the dagger boards and pushed the bow forwards and made a 4 metre section and faired that in. So, the boat's now 100 feet long, and which is the maximum length you can use for most coastal races in Australia. Then we put a new mast in it last year, so it's the new mast is 6 metres taller than it was before. So we're the lightest of the 100-footers in the fleet. You know, everyone knows about Comanche and Wild Oats, which is now called Palm Beach 100, and Scallywag and Lorcanet, and there's about 8 100-foot race yachts in the world. Most of them are in Australia, which is terrific. So we're just developing this boat to be as competitive as it can be, and we're going to install a new forward ballast tank just to give us a little bit more punch in the seaway when we're going upwind. Downwind, we're really good. It's just upwind in bumpy wind over sort of 20 knots. We're a little bit slow, so we're just working on a few refinements like that. But of course, for the B2G race, it shouldn't be a problem because it's usually downwind, or if you're going upwind, it's usually less than 10 knots.
Good on you, Grant. We wish you all the best, having you back in the race. And like I said, no, he wants that race record back. He does. He wants it badly.
Well, as he said, that's an 80-footer that's been extended to 100. They've just put on a proper 100-foot mast. It had the old 80-foot mast on it before. They still have the 80-footer keel is what I think is going on. So they're lightweight underneath, like they don't have as much riding moment. Works really well in their favour for downwind races. He will be very excited at the moment.
Yep, absolutely. But you've said earlier on in the piece, for those who are joining us just now, that you think they'll be outside the race record?
It was looking... there's a cyclone setting up just off the Solomon Islands, and what looked like day 2 we'd get a little more south, and so you'd fly up on the southeasterly, jibe around Gary Island, and you'd be on port, and you'd be able to zoom across on in the more southerly winds. But it looks like it's going to stay hard southeast, so it's more of a square run, and that's taking away maybe that opportunity for a record. The race across the paddock, as we would call it, is right up their tail, basically, the wind now, where it was going to be on more of a broad reach before.
Excellent. From one of the big ones to one of the little ones. This one is Not Guilty, Lise.
Yeah, so Not Guilty is the last Eureka 31 to come out of the mould. So it was built in 2000. It was purchased by Jamie at Christmas 2024 and sailed her home to Queensland from Hobart. So had a full hard stand refit after that. So they'll be raring for this race. The 30-footers, they're going to actually benefit from not coming into Gladstone on against the tide. So that will be nice for them to finish that way.
A few of them will come into play. And Jamie's a man after my own heart because he's modified by putting a larger rig, a more modern bulb gear on, transom hung rudder, and a bowsprit, plus non-overlapping sail plan. So that means he's probably got self-tacker set up there, so he doesn't have to tack it, waste his time changing jib from side to side. But this looks like
fun. They're going to be doing much tacking anyway.
No, that's exactly a good point. Good point.
But he's also done 15 Brisbane to Gladstone, so he knows what he's in for.
Yeah, it should be fun. Good looking a little boat. We'll enjoy the conditions. It looks fast.
Excellent. So here we go. This is Maritimo Cat Wincher, and she is a beautiful old boat, 31 foot long, built originally in 1904 in England, Lise.
Yeah, incredible. As you said, I think it did the 1951 Hobart, so they sailed all the way to England to do the Sydney to Hobart. Don't think they actually finished that race, and then obviously they've refit this a couple of years ago, revamped it. They did it two-handed. They attempted the Sydney Hobart two-handed in 2024, didn't finish, and same in 2025. I think the conditions were really tough, but going 4 up to Gladstone.
And this boat enjoys going downwind. We talked to Speezy about that, and I've spoken to some people who've sailed it before, and they've all said it enjoys going downwind, and it's not running asymmetrical sails, it's running symmetrical. So the wind right up the tailpipe could be in its advantage across the paddock. So, yes, one to watch later on. Yeah,
they've also got a good crew. Obviously, Speezy, who is just such an incredible sailor in his own right.
Absolutely.
Their navigator on board is Duncan McRae, and then they've got Peter as well, who's been a long time on the boat. So, and also Paul Greer is joining them. So I think these guys have sailed together before. They're they're really going to give it a red-hot shot, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think Michael Spies has done much sailing, has he? 46 Sydney to Hobart's, 5-time world champion. Yeah, there you go. Here's another one representing the Port Curtis Sailing Club, and this guy is one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. This is Tony Craner on board Balancing Act and going for a few different divisions and handicap there as well, J99.
Yeah, love these things. Again, another boat that's going to really enjoy these sort of conditions. Like, well, let's be honest, everyone's going to enjoy these conditions. They're exactly what you fantasise about. 27th Brisbane to Gladstone, I think, for Tony. So he really enjoys the race and has won it before, so that is a fantastic result. These boats, there is a lot of J99s in the world. Often you'll see these boats raced in the double-hander stuff, and so they're highly in demand, and I think he will have a great time. And obviously going into home waters, he'll be very familiar with the tidal elements of Gladstone.
Yeah, we had a bit of a chat with Tony, and he was doing his own modelling and saying he doesn't want to hit that outgoing tide in Gladstone, but it looks like it's going to be inevitable. So there you go. But we wish Tony and his crew all the very best. On screen, looks like
Touche 42.
That's Touche 42, absolutely.
Yep. So that one is one of the high-performance sort of Super 40s, we're calling them these days. So this boat is a very quick boat, will be one of the ones to watch for overall. They'll enjoy these conditions. You can see there's not much coach house on that to protect the crew. So across the top of the paddock there, they're going to get wet.
Okay, let's hear from Greg Watson about his boat.
Hi, I'm Greg Watson, skipper of Touche 42, sailing out of Southport Yacht Club. The boat is a HH42. Built in 2013 by Hakes Marine, which is a Judel Verleek design. The boat was brought to Melbourne initially for racing out of Melbourne, did a couple of Sydney Hobarts. Then it went to Brisbane as Knotted Diamond, where it has done a few Brisbane Gladstones, and this will be its first Brisbane Gladstone for us under the Touche 42 banner. Yeah, this is my first Brisbane to Gladstone yacht race. The boat itself's done quite a few before. But success in this race for us will obviously be firstly finishing the race without any major incidents or carnage. But secondly, we've got a competitive boat and a competitive crew, so we are definitely looking at trying to get on that podium. As far as lucky race rituals go, I haven't really got too much. We do like to listen to a little bit of 80s punk rock before the race occasionally, and obviously the old lucky undies, but that's about as far as it goes.
Yeah, good on you, Greg. We appreciate that, and let's hope we don't have to get the lucky undies out. It's good the fact that everybody's been really having a bit of fun with us with our information that they've been able to provide us.
Yeah, and what I really like about Greg is obviously he's saying it's his first Brisbane to Gladstone, but he's also returning to keelboat sailing after 25 years away. He was very good as a junior in sailing that, and that's what I love about our sport. You might take a break, you might go away, but to be able to come back and enjoy the sport and take on this beautiful race is incredible. And everyone has a story out there, but I did like reading that one.
Excellent. Who have we got on screen here now?
I can tell you.
Oh, there we go. Sunfish.
Oh, yeah, well, it's the Sunfast 3300, and Jordan and I were talking about how these boats are sort of designed for these downwind conditions, so they're really optimised for that, and being a smaller boat, they're also going to arrive to Gladstone a little bit later, might capitalise on that tide switch, so won't get held up as much. But, yeah, I'll throw it over to you now, Jordan.
Yeah, well, so Sunfish, this team is a pretty strong one. So they've got a couple of guys on board who are doing a lot of sailing, doing a lot of miles, and they're starting to sail the boat really well. One of them, obviously, so Justin Johnson, he's doing the Vanuatu sailing team thing, and I actually had some comms with him a couple of years ago when they were doing the Champion of Champions regatta with the Vanuatu team, where they went to the World Championships for that, just to try and help out with a bit of coaching. And they are quite determined. The difference between the two Sunfast, Lisa, is one is racing double up. So Yacht Share is racing double up and Sunfish is racing 4 up. But they will be quite excited by this forecast.
Terrific stuff. Just a quick shout out to our sponsors, Adina. Did you know every member of the Courier Mail race winning yacht gets an Adina watch? And plus the Line Honours winning skipper is awarded a bespoke Brisbane to Gladstone yacht winner's edition watch. These are the only time that you can get these particular Adina watches. So they are like hen's teeth. And Adina and granted a second-generation Australian watchmaker, and we thank them for their sponsorship of this fantastic race. And I know those watches are looked out for. People want them, and they're beautiful timepieces, absolutely. This is the race area. Look at that. The rain is cleared. Life is good. But we better head back to the South Pacific, the official start boat for the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, and on the VIP boat, and I believe Nat has got another VIP.
Thanks, Grant. I'm here with Marie Adsed, the chair of the board of the Gladstone Ports Corporation. Good morning, Marie.
Oh, good morning, Nat.
As the GPC naming rights sponsor of the race, how important is sponsoring this event, and what does that mean to you and the port?
Sure. It's a very important relationship. The Gladstone Ports Corporation has been involved with the race, I think, really for its entire 78-year history in one way or another. And that's because GPC really understands that value that major events like this bring not only to the economy, but also to the vibrancy and the livability of regional communities, and that's so important. So I'm really glad that relationship's continuing.
Absolutely, and we're right amongst it here on the beautiful start
we
boat.
are.
But I know that you're actually a very keen sailor. Are we ever going to see you competing in one of the races?
Oh, that's actually a funny question, because my current boat is lacking an essential element, sails. But I did do the course last year. I promised I would, and I did in winter. And what a spectacular journey it was. I'd be a terrible competitor. All I'd want to do is hop off and look around some of those South Great Barrier Reef islands, like Lady Elliot, Lady Musgrave, Heron Island. The poor race officials will be waiting weeks for me to finish.
That actually sounds pretty good, to be honest.
It was wonderful.
So from the start line here in Shorncliffe to the finish line at the Gladstone along the foreshore there, what's your favourite part of the weekend?
I have so many favourites. For years I've enjoyed standing on the cliffs at Scarborough and Redcliffe, watching the spectacular spinnakers as they come in around that buoy in close to Sutton's Beach before they head across to Moreton Island. But I've got to say, being here on the start boat is a pretty special treat. I'm not surprised there's so many spectator vessels year on year. And we're going to get a treat this year with the skippers stepping up their game in the best dressed crew competition. That always brings a lot of fun. But I love standing at Auckland Point. I love the anticipation of being there for the line crossing.
Practically placed there at the line crossing.
And the new lookout, it's a fantastic spot to be. Also love sitting on the balcony at the Yacht Club, the home of the Port Curtis Sailing Club. And I know you and I are also fond of the B2G Village after dark.
We are. those quiet stories there. It's absolute blast. I cannot wait to get back to Gladstone and join in the celebration.
Always a party somewhere in Gladstone on this long Easter weekend.
Let's do it. Thanks, Marie.
No worries.
Hi there, this is Grant Warrington, skipper of Wild Thing 100. You're watching the start of the Brisbane to Gladstone race live on Moreton Bay.
The 2026 Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is brought to you by our principal naming rights partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation. Adina Watches, official timekeeper of the B2G. The generous support from these race partners. And this live stream event is brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council's Easter in Gladstone.
Oh, beautiful Moreton Bay in the idyllic state of Queensland, and you have joined us at a wonderful time, 15 minutes away from the start. We better tell you where you're going, where our competitors are going. Presented this year for our course video needs no introduction in Queensland sailing circles, but I'm going to let you know who he is anyway. Todd Moran has completed an incredible 25 Brisbane to Gladstone races, and his sailing resume doesn't stop there. He's taken on 2 Sydney Hobarts, raced Sydney Noumea, represented Australia at the Swan World Cup in Sardinia. He's also a 2-time winner of the RL24 Nationals as well. He's a proud member of the Port Curtis Sailing Club since '62 and serving as the Commodore for 4 years, including the 50th and 75th anniversaries of this great race. These days, you'll find him at the finish line volunteering his time for the race he loves. A genuine champion of our sport, ladies and gentlemen, to present the course video, Todd Moran.
Hi, I'm Todd Moran, and this year I'll take you through the course for the Gladstone Ports Corporation 2026 Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race. The race is organised by the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, founded in 1948, and proud host of this iconic race for 78 years. At exactly 11 a.m, the fleet gets underway and yachts head for the first turning mark off Redcliffe, then east towards the M8 and M9 beacons at Tangalooma. From there, competitors turn northwest, skirting the bars in the shipping channel before breaking the shackles of Moreton Bay after rounding the Caloundra Fairway Buoy. Once offshore, the tactical game begins. Navigators will choose their line northward. Some crews will stay closer to the coast near Double Island Point. Others will head farther offshore, seeking better sailing angles and stronger breezes. With Gurry on the port side, the fleet passes Indian Head and then turns more nor-northwest towards Breaksea Spit. The next rounding mark is the jewel of the southern Great Barrier Reef, Lady Elliot Island, from which yachts will then head across the stretch of water sailors call the paddock. As the fleet approaches the coast again, yachts then pick up the first Gladstone Channel beacon, S2, and begin to carefully work their way through the Gladstone shipping channel. It's a narrow path with shallow bars on either side. Finally, the finish comes into sight off Patsy Lee Place at East Shores, where myself and the Port Curtis Sailing Club will signal the end of the race and the start of the celebrations in Gladstone.
Good on you, Todd. Thank you so much for that. We know he's got a wedding today and he's jumping in the car from Toowoomba and driving home to be there for the first boat going over the line in Gladstone. He's dedicated. And talking about dedicated, this boat carried a camera for us. If it wasn't last year, it was a couple of years ago. I'm pretty sure it was last year, but here is the 55-foot Yendes.
Yeah, Yendes has a tough timing. I think they're going to hit Gladstone right when the tide is against them, so that's not going to be good for them on the overall handicap. But you know, they've got plenty of experience on this boat. You've got obviously Rick Roberts as the skipper. He's done 30 Brisbane to Gladstones. Peter Cavill, he's done 47. He's also won it in the past. And you've also got David Rose, so he's done 35 Brisbane to Gladstones on, and was previously on Wedgetail. So
Yeah, his own boat. I think Wedgetail's down at Port Stephens. I can't be 100% sure of that. So David will be jumping on the plane and heading back from Gladstone, going for another lot up there. But wonderful boat, Rockle Pew. There's a few RPs in the race.
Yeah, there's a few very successful design group, that lot. They do very good narrow boats, so sort of windward lured sort of course racing boats, and Sydney Hobart's a classic, like a windward lured sort of shaped course, whereas this is a powered up reaching course, and so it probably won't quite suit them, is my guess. And as Lee said, they do come into the harbour on their... We've got a model in at about just over 25 hours, Grant, so that should put them in, I reckon, about 1 p.m. coming into Gladstone, and the tide will be running.
Yes. Talking about the media form that they filled in, we asked them who's the biggest diva when it comes to coffee on board, and it was actually filled out by Luke the bowman, and he suggested Ricky until when the instant coffee appears, it's gloves off, mutiny is declared. So there might be a couple of coffee snobs on board that boat.
Isn't it Ricky the owner? Can't he make sure that he's...
Well, this is what it says. There you go. So we're not too far away from the 10-minute warning, as you can see there in picture from the beautiful South Pacific, the official start boat for this race. And there we go. 10 minutes have been called, is it?
That's it. Green flag, 10 minutes.
There we go.
The next flag, I guess we'll see at 5 minutes. We'll get a 4 minute. 1 minute and then they're off. So we'll talk you through the start once we get there, but plenty of flags to keep the sailors notified on their run up to the start, which I'm really looking forward to this year with a bit more breeze.
We might take this opportunity actually, while we've got her on screen, we might talk about Charisma, which is another Kerr designed boat, and a boat that's been doing this race for many, many years.
Absolutely. So Charisma is a Kerr 11.3, Chris Larson's boat. It's come from Europe, done plenty of work over in Europe. Has done, I think, 3 Brisbane to Gladstone, 1 on IRC and PHRF in 2019. So it has a bit of success. Had a big rig, major refit on the rig last year. So I don't know if that means they dropped it, but yeah, they definitely a boat that. What do you reckon, Lisa? How do you think it'll go?
I think they would do better if it was upwind or a little bit lighter, but I was looking at who their rivals were, and so they're from Southport Yacht Club. They got a couple of rivals also from that club. The Hick 39 Alpha Tauri is the one that they'll be watching.
Ah, yes. Good.
Love a good rivalry within the fleet,
Yeah,
and as we heard from Michael earlier, you know, it's all about the boats that you're racing out there. Doesn't matter where you are within the fleet. It's those battles that you live for.
With only 10 minutes to go before the start, or under 10 minutes now, let's have a look at some of the wind conditions that we can expect. Geordie, our wind man. I know that doesn't quite sound right, but I think it'll catch on. There you've got Moreton Bay, and we've got 19 kilometre-an-hour winds in the bay. Tell us more about what you think is going to be happening over the next couple of days, and the screen is yours.
Okay, well, there's it's very, very simple. We've got southeasterly trade winds have set in, basically, and they're going to get fresher as the next 2 days go on, so they'll pick up strength. As I said before, I thought they were going to swing a little south overnight, but they're not anymore. It's just strong southeasterly breeze. As you go further out to sea, you'll get more weight to that wind, a bit stronger. There is a little bit of tide or current influence coming from north to south off the top of Gary, coming down. So the teams will see that, and if you go further out for wind, you're going to be coming into more and more current head on. So if you stay close, you're probably half a knot less of current to work against. But in reality, when they go up and around the top of Gary, they run in exactly that direction of the wind. And in reality, the tactical job is pretty simple for this race. Just put the bigger sails up and go.
Yeah, perhaps we can, if possible, we can push down on that graphic there, and we can have a look at the wind strength in and around the top of Fraser, or Gurry, as it's now known, and also north. They're heading north. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So once they break the shackles of Caloundra, they're pretty much in open water.
I do want to say, like, if you ever want to introduce anyone into the sport of sailing, this is what Brisbane to Gladstone traditionally brings. This is the traditional Brisbane to Gladstone breeze, and this is what you get: warm water, perfect conditions. You couldn't pick better conditions. This is like paradise for sailing. So as we've gone, so we're going up past Rainbow Beach. We're just coming into the bottom of Gary there. So the teams, as they race up alongside, you can see the pressure's building a little bit as we go further north. What they'll see along Gary is all sorts of full drives, as all the Easter families just zoom up and down the beach. But as they'll head further up, if we can go up a little further, how's our team going? But you can see the wind is picking up, and so what we're expecting is going to go up 15 to 25 knots. Maybe by sort of tomorrow, it could be gusts into 30.
Terrific stuff. All right, there you go. Don't forget, if you want to have a bit of a look at that, windy.com, it tells you all those conditions, and in conjunction with the YB Yacht Tracker, you'll be able to have it all sitting in your armchair, not getting wet, and perhaps enjoying a beverage. We'll be counting down to the 5-minute gun, coming up in the next minute or so.
Touche 42.
Yeah, this is Touche 42 again. All of the yachts now will have their running gear up, their gear that they are planning to start, except for Wild Thing. I can see on one of the cameras, which we'll show you in a minute, but they've got to show their emergency sails, their storm sails, to the start boat as a part of their sailing instructions. So, this is a beautiful boat, this one, and I think it's going to happen. Look at everyone is just chafing at the bit with 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, and they're all going to be doing their last sort of preparation with just 5 minutes to go. You want to be thinking about where you want to start on the line. As I mentioned before, we're going to have a reaching start, which is going to be really nice. So that we're about to go 5 minutes now. Yellow flag will go up any second if he's on time. we're a bit ahead there, but you've got to go with what the flags say. So
Exactly.
that's your official 5 minutes. So in starting strategy-wise, there's sort of two techniques. You can kind of start at the bottom end of the line and you slow down, you're in control, you're kind of choosing your timing of when you kind of do that acceleration, or you do the slingshot, you do that run-up start, you start at the back and you hope for a gap. And so it'd be interesting to see how the teams line up. We've got two start lines as well because we've got the monohulls and the multi-hulls. So the monohulls will start at the top end of the line. There'll be a pink mark in the middle, and the multi-hulls will start to the leeward end of that. So just separating the two fleets. But, you know, with 29, 27, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, monohulls, there should be plenty of room on that start line.
26 monos this year. There's a fleet of 29 all up with the 3 multis, and we'll be crossing to a multi. We're talking with Stephen Humphries after the start of the race today. Looking forward to that. There we go. The
high flag
is up. So under starters orders. So
that means 4 minutes to go. We're officially under racing rules now, so we're no longer under coal rigs. We're under official yacht racing rules. An I flag also is a signal to the fleet that if they are over the line early, they can't just dip back behind the line. They have to go around the ends of the line.
Within the last minute.
Within the last minute, of course. Thank you, Lisa. So a triangle to the next mark, back to that mark. If you go into that zone, over the line, basically, you have to go around the edges to get back in. And if they do start over the line and they're not sure, they will be notified over the radio about 5 minutes after the start. So we're not going to be... Yeah.
That's the worst 5 minutes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are we over? Are we over? Are we over? I'm not sure. Haven't heard. Then 5 minutes, boom.
So what Lisa's talking about with the start is the boats to windward have to give, on the same tack, boats to windward have to give way to boats to leeward. So darting down the bottom of the line, you can force everyone up and out of the start line. That looks very much like stealth mode in my shot. I know that boat quite well. So yeah, that is stealth mode.
Just went for a sail on it, so tell us about it.
It is a Stealth 13.2C, so it's set up as a cruising catamaran, but I tell you what, she ain't a cruising catamaran. She's very light, she's very fast, lovely bloke owns it. They will have an absolute ball on this thing. It's easy speed, that boat, easy speed. Down below, it's set up, there's beautiful cruising accommodation. When all the keel boats, monohulls will be sitting on the rail, everyone down there will be able to make themselves coffees, they'll be able to have sandwiches. You just wander around and have a grand old time on this thing.
Beautiful. We love a multi-hull, or I do, and Jordan seems to be a convert, so that's great. So the delivery of stealth mode took 7 weeks, navigating Asian monsoons and a tropical cyclone just to north of Australia. So she's arrived, she's now racing. That's the kind of commitment we want to get to a start line, that's for sure. So excited to see how this team enjoys the downwind conditions.
It's just wonderful that now, after so many years, and we won't say why or how, or doesn't matter, history is what it is, but now having the multi-hulls and the mono-hulls starting at the same time, same race, well, even though they're two separate races, but it just goes to showcase mono and multi-hull sailing in Queensland and Australia. So,
I mean, Queensland's shallow. There's a lot of shallow water out here, and there's a lot of reefs and a lot of places to go. And the multi-hulls do very well in Queensland, so it is a good thing. You can see that pink mark that Lisa was talking about before. They're just on the line there. We're coming up to the 1 minute, and when that happens, we are getting really intense. The other tactic Lisa mentioned was the slingshot, or what you would call a time run, where the boat would reach out away from the line, turn at exactly the same time, so say 30 seconds out, 30 seconds back, and hit the line at full speed. It has no rights. It can be forced out the way, but it can work if you can find that clear spot on the line.
Excellent stuff. Now, for those wondering, the big boat in the centre, why hasn't it got its big sails up? It will. They're all on furlers nowadays, which once upon a time used to be, you have a furler sail.
It's true.
Now it's just part and parcel of big boat sailing. But as you can see, it may look like herding cats at the moment, but they all are heading towards that start line with under a minute to go. 20 seconds as far as we've counted down, but I think they'll be getting very close. There's a few. There's a great photo of the start line.
Wild Thing in stealth mode in shot right there. So stealth mode's going straight, and Wild Thing's got to go up to the right a bit further.
Okay, so that's looking back. That's from the pin end, looking back towards the start boat. Perfect line. All these other yachts, are they having to come back? Oh, no, here we go. Yeah. It was a little bit confusing which way they were going.
The pink mark's out of line a little bit, I think. So, yeah, but they're underway, basically. They're lining up. Here we go.
And as far as we're concerned, they are gone. They're underway. Spinnaker's being popped out from the left-hand side. Here we are on V5, and the boys are getting ready to hoist. This is from the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, our international entrant.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of boats were late there, so I'm not really sure what happened for that start. But as you...
Queensland, we're not in a rush.
Oh, okay.
I tell you what, Grant will be filthy if he doesn't, if he misses out by about a minute on that race record. But there we go. All the spinnakers are up. You've got symmetricals, asymmetricals, and we'll see watch in the middle there the Wild Thing open up her sails.
That's back to back.
This is an exciting entry, as we were saying. This is GP 42, and it's got a stack line of obviously Sean Langman as a skipper. You've got the local hero, Stacey Jackson. She's been around the world a few times, and recently with the famous project, you've got Chris Nicholson on the back there. He's obviously clocked up so many ocean miles, but also an incredible sailor. Checking his phone right now, probably seeing him miss call Jordan.
Who's Jordan Spencer again? Very good. And there she is. There's the drone shot of her heading out, and that's got a rock star crew on board there.
Chris Nicholson is a once-in-a-generation talent. He's one of the most respected sailors on the planet. So if you are wandering around SailGP, Nico is probably coaching one of the teams. World champion 3 times in the 5A class, world champion in the 18-foot skiff 3 times, world champion in the 49er class 3 times, Olympian 6 or 7 times around the world. He is won, I think, the Volvo around the world. He's very much an in-demand man. We also have on there Shane Gunaria, so we know who sails are on that boat straight away with Nico and Shane on that boat.
It's royal, if anyone does.
Yeah, and then Shane, the good thing is Shane is taking his young son Ollie on that boat, and Ollie's had some of the most amazing experiences. He had not even 18, he's only 16, I think, at the moment, and Warren hasn't got some sails out on his boat yet. He's just been kind to the rest of the fleet.
I wonder if he's just climbing up just to get enough into the wind.
Yeah.
It shouldn't bother him though, but I think there's a couple of boats pushing him up down below.
M52 at right of screen there has jumped away, and that's back to back right above them. So they're the ones that are charging off. Is that H42? That's Touche 42 just in front there to the left of screen in front of Warrow. So they're looking quite good. I'm not quite sure. I can't quite pick out that red and white kite to the starboard, sort to right of Warrow, just there at the moment. And anyone have a guess on that one? I reckon it's a J99 or a J111, something like that. It's my guess.
Could be Black Dog. Is that the J?
Yeah, it could be. I'm just trying to judge on hull shape, but anyway. I'm not sure. Warrow, they've just got to. To pull it out, as Grant said, it's on a furler. So to launch that sail, they just have to pull the rope.
Yep. I have a feeling he's starting to climb to windward a little bit.
Giving himself some runway.
Just giving himself some runway, absolutely. But unless there is a slight issue there, can you imagine being on that boat there? I think that is that
Shay 42 right in front with a big 100-footer right up behind you, just knowing you're going to get rolled at any minute.
It shows you how fast it is, though. Like it's way under sailed. It's only got its mainsail up effectively in a storm jib, and it's still coming past. So, there's waterline length. But once they get out into the ocean, into the swells, a lot of these boats, these more modern shapes and designs, are designed to plane. That means that they get up on their bow wave, and their hull length is not the determinant of speed. But at the moment, hull length is definitely the determinant of speed.
Yep, there you go. Sorry.
It'd be interesting when we get a bit of a wider view. So obviously they're heading down to Redcliffe now, and then they'll turn right. So they'll do a rounding and start to be sort of close, just off close hold. So in terms of the angle, it's hard to see from here what angle they're expecting to run down in the future. And the other thing is, obviously we saw before that there's plenty of rain around, so lots of rain clouds, which is probably playing with the breeze a little bit out there as well. But that's just a beautiful shot of everyone running down. Moreton Bay. But a little bit simple, as you're saying, Jordan. It's not really that difficult from a tactics point of view, but in terms of picking your angles, that's one thing you got to figure out if you're a 100-footer.
Yeah, I reckon V5 has missed that start. Hey, look, I think that's M52 if you look down to the right of screen. But if you come back and you'll see a blue spinnaker behind Wild Thing, and then there's another white spinnaker, I think that's V5
Just above it, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think they've missed that start. That is AlphaTauri, which is the old Arctic
Blonde?
Blonde, yeah. So that thing was actually designed as a bay racer. So like a day sailor, effectively, and they've converted it to an offshore boat. That's a wet boat. They're going to get very wet on that boat when they do this race. So, yeah, that's AlphaTauri for sure.
Yep. Wayne Kirby on skipper there, an R60. They love AC/DC. They would have been pumping that all the way to the start line and competing in the IRC, ORC and PHS divisions. We'll talk a little bit about handicap divisions as we're going, but they're all, well, I mean, that's just a little trundle. Actually, it's a little lighter than I would have thought in the harbour.
Well, we're still inside the island. I guess Moreton Island blocking a bit. Yeah, we've got to get a little further out. I've been watching all morning, and we've had the land breeze this morning, so that's lightened it off closer to shore. That's not going to be in play tomorrow morning, so I'm not going to get a surf in this weekend by the sounds of it, unfortunately.
You can see the three catamarans now in shot, two either side of the blue spinnaker there and one out in top of screen, and just trundling along now, but they're starting to pick up a bit of pace as they head towards Redcliffe.
Stealth mode. I trimmed that spinnaker for about 10 hours straight the other day.
Well, there we go. There's the unfurling of Wild Thing out there on the left-hand side of screen. Now she'll start trucking. So perhaps the angles just weren't there for Grant. And
I think your original call, he was just trying to be safe because he didn't want to overpress and maybe getting a lay into that mark. I think your original call's right. They'll start to build up now. And there was even looked like a little gust just coming on then too, Lisa. It looks a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, I wonder if they just wanted to get into that breeze and then check their ley line, as you were saying. But yeah, they'll get away, get clear now, and be in a pretty good shape. But maybe now's a good time to talk about, obviously on the screen we've got a 100-footer, we've got lots of different boats out there, but they're all racing the same race.
Excellent. All right. So there's the entire fleet there heading towards Gladstone. What we might do is we might take a very short break, come back with more of the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race. Hope you're enjoying the coverage.
Hi, this is Greg Watson from Touche 42, sailing out of Southport Yacht Club, and you're watching the start of the 2026 Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race.
This is GPC.
This is GPC.
This is GPC. This is GPC.
The 2026 Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is brought to you by our principal naming rights partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation, Brisbane City Council via Brisbane Economic Development Agency. The generous support from these race partners. And this live stream event is brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council's Easter in Gladstone.
And welcome back to sunny Queensland. I can say that now. The rain is gone. And look at that. What a picture-perfect day on Moreton Bay for the 78th Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race. And have a look at this flyer. This is Curb. And to tell us all about Curb, let's have a chat with Brett Whitbread.
My name's Brett Whitbread, and this year's Brisbane to Gladstone race, I'll be racing on Curb, which is a Cur 40. First one built out of this production run back in 2011. She was built at McConaughey Boats in Sydney. and this is our first full year of ownership on this boat. We have a bit of a mix in this crew. There's probably half-half of dinghy sailors and offshore sailors. There's probably four or five of the guys have got about 10 Brisbane to Gladstone races under their belt. And it's going to be quite interesting. They've all got mixes of talents. And I think we've filled all the roles and pretty strong in all positions. But the goal is just to make sure everyone has fun. It was a long time ago when I used to race against Jordan Spencer. I just remember how good he was at coaching everyone, being, you know, the second best coach in the world. Was pretty fitting for him to be in the same boat park as everyone else.
Yeah, there's got to be a story behind the second best coach in the world. It's the second time that's going to come up, I think.
Oh, it's a standard, one of my standard jokes. I always introduce someone as the second best, and the question is who's the best, and I say I don't know. I didn't want to sound egotistical. It's a setup. And Brett's an old mate of mine, and he's a really great sailor. He's a very talented sailor. He's mad passionate about the sport. Him and his dad, and they throw a lot in it, and he likes going fast. So he's very, very keen. He's got some really good sailors. He's the man responsible for bringing VX1s into Australia with another guy, Michael James. They put a lot in. He's got Ashley Daunt on there and Braden Daunt. So they did 470 Olympic campaign. Joel Turner, who's red hot at the moment, he's did a 49er. He's a champion 49er sailor.
Yep, been doing good at the 18-foot skiffs as well.
Yeah,
so
amazing.
I think he'll enjoy his Gold Coast boy. So enjoy in Queensland.
Excellent stuff. Now, we've had a person on our live feed ask how do we think Black Dog will go this year. I know we try and feature every boat in the race, and we do our best. That's what sets us apart. But that is a J11, the build in France, and we'll try and get her on screen as soon as possible. But in the meantime, we will go back and have a chat with about Black Dog. But this one is our camera boat, and have a look at that. That's V5 out of the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron.
So the blue kite was V5. Okay. So that I was looking at the wrong kite. I was picking a bigger boat. But yeah, this boat. Gee, BP there on the helm. The drone over the shoulder. He's done a lot of sea miles, this bloke, and he loves and he's passionate. They've put a huge campaign together. They're here from New Zealand, as you said. Lisa said they had a mixed crew, but they love their sailing, and this boat will be one of the ones to watch from on a rating perspective.
Hope there's a lot of people in the Long White Cloud, land of the Long White Cloud, that are watching today. And if you are, we say g'day to you. And it's fantastic having an international entry in this great race. And they're campaigning this boat up and down the Australian coastline.
Yeah, so they won line honours of the Groupama race around New Caledonia back in 2025, sailed to Sydney, competed in the Sydney to Southport, Southport to Mackay, Early Beach Raceway, Hamilton Island, Sail Paradise around at Cabotry Island, Sydney to Hobart. So they're really taking it on. So great to see them here at the Brisbane to Gladstone.
Excellent stuff, yes, and we thank them very much for carrying a camera for us today. All right, now we may not get Black Dog, but let's have a quick chat about her. It's a J111. And you started life racing out of the United Kingdom, and skippered owned by Roger and Lindley Vinton.
Yep, they don't mind racing all-female crews, mixed crews, all that sort of stuff. They're very much into the community in and around Queensland. They've got the WAGs. They're into that, which is the biggest event in Queensland sailing is WAGs racing on the Wednesday night, I think it is, or Thursday night at RQ. But they do love their sailing. They've got, obviously, named the boat after that Led Zeppelin song. You're an old DJ, you'd know that, would you?
God, yes, yeah. I mean, their pump-up music's going to be Black Dog, isn't it, Led Zeppelin? Yeah. And Lucky Charm, Anzac biscuits, they reckon. They always have the Anzac biscuits on board. And I said to them, instant coffee or make, and they went, what's instant coffee? So there you go.
Sounds like a boat I'd be happy to be.
Good on you, Roger and Lindley. Great to have you on board today for this race. And here's M52, last year's line honours winner, and this year she's going to be right in the mix when it comes to the Courier Mail Cup.
Yeah, they had a fantastic start, and as we sort of mentioned before, they've got a fair bit of experience on board with Peter himself. He's won this event online honours and recently bought this boat. I've also got Murray Spence. He was a skipper of Maritima 100 in the past. You've got Darren Jones. He's a 7-time world champion. Peter Sheldrick. He's done 31 Sydney and Hobarts recently on Love and War. So plenty of ocean racing experience on board that boat, and that boat as well is a nice one to go downwind in.
Yeah, so this is another TP52 like V5, and you can see the similarities that the boats have in terms of the cockpit layout and the number of crew and the way they're all set up. So as Grant said, they're a box rule design. It means they can be designed slightly different, but they're very, very much very, very similar boats. And so it's all down. That will be the real battle. So that blue kite and white kite will be going full bore.
Yeah, and to Gary McCarthy, who's just contacted me, we were worried about what Warrow was doing. It seems that they snapped a runner at the start.
Ah, that makes sense.
So that's why they couldn't.
Makes those tactics more explainable.
They couldn't load up that front section without the runner being tight. So.
And thanks, Macca. I appreciate you coming in. Obviously, I know how difficult it would be being a Queensland bloke down in Tassie now with your frozen fingers trying to type that out. And congratulations on the second. You had the international 1 metre state champs in South Australia last weekend.
Oh, look at that. Seriously, is this a setup or what, you two? God.
No. He's a passionate sailor, Macca.
Talk about man love. Good, goodness me. Well, there she goes. So obviously, they've got something in when it comes to that runner being fixed, and she's under full power now. And from 100-footer to another 100-footer, or 30 metres, and going slightly slower than possibly what she did last year under the Iron Hetzel that she had going. In fact, the first boat over the line last year, but in the cruising division, there is the wonderful South Passage in which I have done 2 Brisbane to Gladstone on. She's a great boat. Yep, absolutely.
I mean, you say she was first across the line in the cruising division, but she also probably used the most fuel last year. So you are allowed to use fuel in the cruising division.
And with the current problems in the Strait of Hormuz, I reckon she will be using absolutely zero diesel this year. Here we go again. This is interesting. What's going on here with Wild Thing?
Oh, they're just throwing a jibe to
yeah. So I've looked at the tracker. So they're all going to have to jibe to get back down to Red Cliff. So it's a bit of a different angle, so everyone's going to have to throw a jibe in there.
Thank goodness. For a moment there, I thought she's turning around. There's something wrong there, but no, she's heading in, putting it in start.
You can see V5's just throwing a jibe in the blue kite just up there. That means M52's that white kite down near the lead there, so there's already a good battle. I think M52's just in front on the TPs, and then you can see the 42's just in the next go there. What have you got, Lise?
I was going to say there's someone really far down, but on the right of our screen, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that could be back to black.
That is back to black. I got the tracker. So if you are watching on YouTube, it does help if you bring the tracker up as well, and you can find what the boats are doing. So back to black down there, they're doing 10.8 knots. I've got Wild Thing 100. They have just jibed, so we'll let them get rumbling a little bit more and
come back to it.
Doing 15.5 knots boat speed, so they're doing okay.
A boat that probably is it certainly has done 15 knots and probably will be doing it many, many times over when it comes to this race is one of our catamarans, one of our multi-hulls doing this race. It is stealth mode, and we're now happy to cross to Stephen Humphreys, who's the skipper and owner of stealth mode. Hi, Stephen. You were lucky enough to have the world's second best sailing coach on board for the Surf to City recently, mate. I don't know how you're even getting this far without him on board now, but how did he really perform? Because he was talking it up here on the desk.
Well, it was actually sold to me he was the world's best trimmer, so I wasn't sure about the coaching side of things, but the world's best trimmer. I can tell you he's no gazelle. He went forward twice, and he came back with blood all over the boat from his leg gashes that he came back with. So it was a fair lesson that he shouldn't be forward of the mast and stay on the sheet. But it was fun times, that's for sure.
Well, beyond having to deal with Jordan Spencer ahead of the race, you've also had a bit of a mission getting here as well from Thailand. Maybe tell us about your eventful delivery trip.
Yeah, look, 6,000 nautical miles through one cyclone. We had top speed of 20 knots with no sails and no motors up. And we're just doing a jibe here live. They can't blame me for it. So, yeah, it was a bit of a journey, 6,000 nautical miles. They went through 3.5 weeks of monsoon, and they didn't see the sun for 3.5 weeks, and then got hit by a cyclone. So, yeah, some pretty a big boat speed for no sails and no motors to do 20 knots downwind. So, yeah, fun time.
Mate, thanks for putting the boot into me. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed sailing with you on your boat, and if I wasn't commentating, I would be on board right now, I can assure you. She's a glamour boat listed as a 13.2C, the cruising designation, but your boat weighs like less than 4 tonnes. It is built for speed. I know how far she can go. She will absolutely outdo the wind speed. Exciting boat. But you've got a strong dinghy background yourself, so in fact, I think OK Worlds in 24 is the last dinghy I think you were doing. What is your favourite ride nowadays? The OK or your new boat?
Absolutely, stealth mode, 100%. We're currently doing wind speed plus. I'm in the shade. The espresso machine's about 2 metres away. Got a washing machine on board. So this is just a very fast cruising boat. Or at least that's what I tell my wife anyway. But she goes all right in a race too.
Yeah, good on you, mate. Listen, we've had a bit of a chat over a couple of beers, and getting race ready for the start line. There's quite a few hoops that you've got to jump through. The Brisbane to Gladstone 80th approaching, and acknowledging this probably deserves a bit more, a much bit deeper conversation than what we can do here across the internet. But do you have a quick suggestion that could attract greater participation for skippers and crews for this race?
Oh yeah, obviously this is my first time to enter my own boat, so it's always a bit hard when you're green. There's a lot of admin to do, and I think sort of the race committee could use some technology to help get some of that done. Checks upon checks can easily be done by video calls and stuff these days. And the other side of things, obviously there's a teams event too. If the yacht club's got a team in it, then anyone that's done it before can help out anyone new on the line. So, and bring that in. But it's an absolute glamour race, particularly when it's blowing 15 to 25 like it will be over the next day or so. Any time you can go with the wind north to warmer is 5-star all around. It's an absolutely fantastic race to do. We've had a great start. And it just looks absolutely spectacular already.
Good on you, Steve. We appreciate you joining us. So we appreciate you digging the dirt on Jordan, and we look forward to having an espresso with you when you pull into the Gladstone Ports Corporation Marina later on tomorrow some stage. But Steve, thanks very much for joining us on the coverage today, and safe travels.
No worries, thanks.
Great stuff. Stephen Humphries on stealth mode. Wow, you've copped it today, mate.
This is a setup, I tell you.
Really?
Yeah.
I think so. Have a look at this. Here we go. We've got a bit of a leaderboard coming up on the left-hand side of screen there. Wild Thing 100 motoring along. Isn't that just a beautiful photo? Vision, sorry. And thank you to our drone pilots and cameramen that are out there. Brave the wet conditions to start with, but have a look at that. That's Moreton Bay at its finest.
It is just truly magnificent. The pressure building a bit there. You can see that little gust coming down. So we're going to see a little acceleration come from the 100 there. Warro's in a happy place. His only concern for the whole race will be the 3 or 4 miles he has to sail across to M8. And then I wonder if he'll even bother putting a jib up. He's got one on the furler, so I suppose he will. But, just 3 or 4 miles, and then it's all downwind sailing like this all the way to Gladstone. You couldn't ask for better. The water's warm. It's 27 degrees. It's 27 degrees outside. It's paradise.
Okay, this is the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race for the year of 2026. We are so glad that you've joined us from wherever you have around the world. The wonderful YouTube has been able to promote this, a great race to the world, and we thank you for being part of it. We'll be back in just a few moments with more of the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, thanks to the Gladstone Ports Corporation and Gladstone Regional Council's Easter in Gladstone.
From CCYC in Yeppoon, looking forward to the start of the Brisbane Gladstone.
Island is, I think, an all-in-one trip to the Barrier Reef. You can get up close and personal with any of the flora and fauna out there, so you can see sharks, turtles, fish. You can swim and snorkel all day. There are rooms that host families up to 5 people. There's a restaurant, there's a bar for those sunset cocktails. There's a marine centre where you can organise snorkelling or diving from the boat. You can snorkel and swim just around the island on the high tide. And there are activities guides, mainly trained marine scientists, who can take you on reef walks and explain to you what you're seeing. Diving's always spectacular. Visibility can be excellent. It's really what you make it. Heron Island is 50 nautical miles off the coast of Gladstone. We have a vessel, the Heron Islander, that departs from Gladstone 5 days a week. The other option is to fly on a helicopter that departs from the Gladstone airport. Get away from life, get away from Wi-Fi, get away from devices and just relax in nature.
The 2026 Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is brought to you by our principal naming rights partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation. Adina Watches, official timekeeper of the B2G. The generous support from these race partners. And this live stream event is brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council's Easter in Gladstone.
Terrific stuff. Oh, wine glass. Boom. You've got Lisa Darmanin and Geordie Spencer and Grant Cooper behind the desk as we broadcast the live stream start of the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, and that's not what you want when you go for a jibe. Poor old Liz Dillon. But she'll sort that out no time flat. In fact, they're onto it right now. But she's a ripper boat, this one. We're looking at a Brad Thompson skipper. It's a Rockall Pew 36.
I was just going to say, I was thinking about this boat before the start when I was talking about this is a great race to introduce new sailors to, bring them on board. He has got a lot of new sailors on that boat, so this is one of the things that they learn when they make a mistake like this. So the little tricks, they're not going to get that out. They're probably going to have to lower that. They could try a jibe and it might come out, but as you said, Liz Dillon, Brad Thompson has done a lot of miles. I think he's 18th Brisbane to Gladstone, so they're in good hands. Good coach on board. Third best coach in the world.
But this is what sailing's all about. You know, you make your mistakes, you learn by it, and then I can't tell you how many times we got a wine glass and we were all fairly accomplished sailors at that stage. It just happens. But that looks like it's a double wine glass now. You've got some.
We've all been there, Grant, but it's not always streamed live across the world.
No. So let's move on. There we've got stealth mode flying along there, and your TP52. That is the TP52 of V5.
I reckon,
at the top there.
Yep. Yeah. And then Touche 42 in behind's going well. So it shows you how fast boats go. One of my great passions is the fact that we don't use any fuel. We just hold a bit of cloth up in the air and at the right angle, and we zoom across the water. That looks like our friends on V5. That's got a very New Zealand looking man on the wheel there, hasn't it? So he's got that New Zealand.
It's Team New Zealand cap on your right-hand side, so you pick that one.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you are international and you're thinking about doing this race in the warm Queensland waters, seriously, these guys have got more clothing on than what they need. It is a beautiful day outside. Just a balmy 27 degrees, and these guys are really enjoying it now. So they're just trying to work out their angles. I reckon we'll have another jibe coming in here soon. So they seem to be the most easterly boat from where it was looking at. Here we go with Maritima Catwincher with the legendary Michael Spiess on board.
Yeah, so obviously this is a 1904 built boat and a lot smaller than a Wild Thing 100, but they're racing for the Courier Mail Cup, so the handicap system. We've spoken about Spiess quite a lot, so maybe we can dive into what the handicap is, what IRC is. So the Courier Mail Cup is decided on IRC, so it's a rating system that lets boats of completely different designs, like we're seeing on screen, race against each other on an even playing field. Each boat gets a rating based on their physical measurements. So the hull, the rig, the sails, the weight. So it's their performance potential. So the rating doesn't change whether you've sailed good or bad last year. It's based on your boat. So it's how fast it should go, which really allows designers to build fast boats or optimize them like Maritima Catwincher has done. And then at the finish, your elapsed time is calculated by your IRC and it will produce a corrected time. And that's how we get the winner of the Courier Mail Cup. So
Which is the prestigious. This is the overall winner.
Yeah.
Boom. You're prestigious. Lovely to have line honours, but usually it's the biggest boat in the fleet. This is the evener out, the handicap of the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think that's like the cool thing is because you're racing against the other boats that might be rated closely to you, but you're really racing the boat to its full potential. You really don't want to not be able to deploy at the start because your runner's broken. But as you can see here, we've got Back to Black here, and that as we were talking about, their crew lineup is so strong. So they'll be optimising the performance of that boat, and it's a well-rated boat as well.
Yep, they're actually only in IRC. They've only entered IRC for this boat.
Yeah, so when you're looking at that there, we can see the old Bretty Van Munster with the orange rope in his hand and the grey beard. I've known Bretty for probably about 35 years. He's starting to crack around the edges, but there's not much. It doesn't look like much energy's going in, but there's a lot of thought and tactics. And yeah, the whole time you guys were talking, they were just debating. I could see them looking to set up for that jibe. So they're just going into that, moving through with the asymmetrical sail. It's a pretty easy manoeuvre these days, much easier than what our friends on the Rykel Pew 36 were going through with the Repcot. So yeah, the IRC, one of the things about IRC is they keep some of the elements secret in the rules, so the designers just design fast boats, and that's what it brings.
Here's, in its day, would have been a fast boat, a Maya 2, and now in our PHS, Veterans, IRC, ORC and cruising divisions, and they're going to have a wonderful trip north.
Yeah, so this is the fourth Brisbane to Gladstone for this boat, and they have a rivalry with Spetzig, and so they admitted in their form that it's probably out of reach but worth it at the bar. So last year they had a punishing race. They had to anchor twice in the last 0.4 nautical miles to stop drifting backwards for 5 hours. So let's hope the tide is with them at this time so they don't have to endure that pain.
Can I just say at this point in time, looking through the media responses so that we had all the bits and pieces about everyone's race, Spetzig was the number one boat that everyone wanted to beat. And it wasn't just like occasionally, it was like 3-1 of the nearest other boat. So I know Pete was he was chuffed about that when I spoke to him about it, and he said everyone wants to beat me. That's a win for me. So, no, he was very, very happy.
I haven't seen them on screen yet, but hopefully we pick them up and we can show you what an epic boat that is.
One of the things about what we're looking at there, they've got a symmetrical spinnaker, so the spinnaker's flying off a pole, and they can run straight downwind, whereas some of we're just seeing what looks like Wild Thing's gone around the mark at Redcliffe, and the boats are all just starting to come into that turning mark. So you can see Wild Thing, it looks like it's tightened up. But I was just going to say the symmetrical spinnaker versus the asymmetric, the asymmetrics don't go as well dead downwind, and you see some of those symmetrics all making little games like we saw with Catwitcher and Amaya there. So look, I've got to say, the old boys on stealth mode, look at them. They're just going to come around the mark. They're going to come around the mark third. They've been smoking the other cats. It's.
Doing okay without you.
Yeah.
Well, I did all the modifications. I went and had a look.
You coached them up to it. You coached them up to it. You didn't know that they signed the second best coach in the world.
We went through.
Let them go.
We went through and said, look, let's change this to this, and let's do this, and let's do that. And Steve's really good. So we did find a few things we could improve, and he's definitely gone out and done that. And so look at that thing go. It looks so good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Cat sailing's got some appeal, Lisa.
It does. I mean, being a cat sailor through and through, I've been bullied plenty of time in my life, but I'm really glad that we're finally converting you, George.
Oh, wow. God, this is unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. If this is not enough fodder for BP and Nick Bice for the next Bar Karate Sailing podcast, nothing is. And I hope you two boys are listening right now. Here we are coming into, and you can see the fleet, the spectator boats that are sitting right on that mark there, the first or second mark of the course actually, which is the Redcliffe rounding mark, and no doubt on the beaches and the cliffs of Redcliffe there, they'll be watching these boats go around. It's really the closest time that they're going to get in towards shore.
Yeah, I mean, they do. So they've got around a green turning mark. There's a few other marks you might see out there at the moment. That's sort of the exclusion zone for them to get round. So they'll round that turning mark, and then they've got a nice sort of tight reach, I guess, almost close hauled out to Moreton Bay Island.
I thought I saw Touche 42. Like I could see M52 coming across, and they're about to jibe and go around that mark. So that'd be the next boat, and I reckon Touche 42 is right there. She's smoking along.
doing very well, I guess, compared to V5, TP52, and then you've got the HH42. So having a bit of fun out there, and it looks like that, you know, that clouds really move through. We can see it a little bit over the land, but as that clouds move through, especially on the shore where we are right now, the wind's sort of picking up, and it will pick up throughout the afternoon. Obviously, super flat water at the moment. As they head offshore, get a little bit bumpier, a little bit wetter.
But from behind, it's just surfing, Lisa, you know, like it's as good as it gets. There's no one's going to be getting seasick on this Brisbane to Gladstone, I can assure you. The only time that they're going to go slightly towards the waves is this next couple of miles that they're about to do across to M8, and then it's all downwind, just riding waves.
And you can see the conditions here in Moreton Bay are beautiful. You can't even see a white cap on the water. So, yep, it looks like I reckon having a look at some of the other vision that we can see here, as this that's tight on to get to this. I reckon it's almost like two beats. This one going north. Would that be back to black?
Someone's overlaid and having to go back.
Yeah, they've misjudged the mark. That's M52 that's rounded cleanly, and then this boat here with the black sails, it's just alongside M52 now. I think they picked the wrong mark, and it's back to black.
Oh, brutal.
Well, gee, we've talked them up.
You've talked them up all day.
Nico.
We said it wasn't a navigator's race. The navigator probably checked out.
Yeah, they've definitely missed it. So, yeah.
Long way to go. Long way.
Oh, they'll be going gangbusters. And probably Nico is great tactician and great helmsman. We just might get him out of the navigator chair. He is like as good downwind as you could ask for.
All right, with 36 minutes on the clock so far, let's cut to a break. We'll be back in just a few moments, refreshed, ready to go for the last little piece, the last 30-minute countdown of the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race start. Of course, these boats are heading towards Gladstone, and we've everything from tomorrow morning early right through until perhaps even close to Sunday morning early. So we'll be back in just a few moments with more of the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race for 2026.
Good morning, I'm Tony Carina, skipper of Balancing Act, with our crew, Nadia, Rick and Tim. You're watching the 2026 Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race.
This is GPC.
This is GPC.
This is GPC. This is GPC.
The 2026 Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is brought to you by our principal naming rights partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation, Brisbane City Council via Brisbane Economic Development Agency. The generous support from these race partners. And this live stream event is brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council's Easter in Gladstone.
Well, there you are from beautiful Moreton Bay as they head around the Redcliffe Mark, heading towards M8, or M7 then M8. It is bittersweet doing the live stream here in Shorncliffe when there's a long lunch party going on at O'Connell Wharf in Gladstone. And it's my pleasure to introduce the host of the long lunch, Gladstone Export TV personality and wonderful family friend, Kimberly Bustede. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve. So lovely to hear from you.
It's great. Well, back at the long lunch.
Hi, Kimberly. You're back at the long lunch celebrating Easter in Gladstone, enjoying the wines, local beers, fresh local seafood there today. And how are the locals enjoying it? Not giving you too much trouble, I hope?
Not yet, but the day is early. There's a very jovial feeling among everyone here. It is essentially a lunch among friends. You know, the Gladstone community is such a heartwarming, it's home. You know, it's home. And I think everything that has come in, even from outside the region, feels that as well. It's just a really beautiful environment. The seating is amazing. And, yeah, I think it's going to be a lovely afternoon ahead.
Look, as a Gladstone girl that loves getting out on the water, I reckon Brad and Denise would have had you down watching the yachts come in over the years at O'Connor Wharf when you were just a pup. What are your early memories of watching the yachts come into the harbour? And second question, do you fancy doing a race one year?
You know, it's so funny. I did a lunch with Grant Warrington years and years ago, and he said to me, you should do the Brisbane to Gladstone yacht race one day. And then he pulled me aside and spoke to me about the nitty-gritty of it. I don't know if I've got the heart, to be honest. I love the idea of it, but I don't know if I'm tough enough to do it. But certainly sitting on the veranda on a facing island and seeing the yachts come in, it's something so exciting. And it's something that I'm really excited to pass on to my kids as well.
Well, Kimberly, the Harbour Festival is a real central Queensland institution. For people watching today who may never have made the trip to Gladstone for Easter, what would you say to convince them to join you next year?
It's not just the Harbour Festival, it's everything that we've accomplished over the Easter and Gladstone weekend. So, for example, last night we did have the launch of the festival with the fireworks. This morning there was a fun run, there was the Easter parade, we had the raft regatta that happened down that I went in years and years ago when I was working at World Construction back when I was 18. We have got the Easter races tomorrow. We've got the cars racing Saturday night as well. There's 3 events across the weekend here. So there is something for everybody across this weekend. And then, of course, the Southern Great Barrier Reef, the Gladstone region has so much to offer for people that then want to stay and enjoy the school holidays. So it's definitely a bucket list you cannot miss experience.
Oh, beautifully said, Kimmy. Look, we can't take you away too long. Benito and Pete will be upset with me if we take you from your hosting duties for too much longer. Lovely to have you join us again on this coverage, and we look forward to catching up with you when we hit Gladstone.
Yeah, thank you for doing the tough work, you three. We'll have a champagne for you all.
Done. I'll take you up on that, absolutely. Kimberly Bastide live from the Long Lunch in Gladstone, and just one of the fantastic events going on in Gladstone, Easter in Gladstone. Back on screen now, where the yachts as they head towards Tangalooma, and we've got M52 on screen right now.
Double head sail set up, so they're not quite going upwind. They've got a little bit of cracked sail with the reach, and that what they're doing there, Lisa, is obviously just hunting for a bit of extra speed. So they put 2 head sails up in front, and when they get downwind, they could go another one out on the end of that pole. I mean, that's just classic modern sailing right there.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what you said. Well, once they turn and sort of head downwind, it's really about how much sail that you're willing to put up and ride down up to Gladstone on. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool to see. Obviously, this boat did so well last year under a different ownership, different skipper. So to see Peter being able to take this boat, obviously Wild Thing 100's right out in front, but for them to have a really good start, manage those few jives to the turning mark at Redcliffe is quite nice. Then obviously everybody on the rail there swinging her down, and yeah, the hardest part of the race right now, which is looking pretty fun, to be honest.
And what is it? About 3 or 4 nautical miles. It's not far. They'll go around the M7 beacon, and then that's it for tacking. Oh, perhaps a couple of downwind tacks.
I was going to say hardest part of the race is probably going to be going up to Gladstone in that tide and managing that channel. But for now, this is the challenge.
Absolutely. Now, we've been talking about the IRC. I did ask you, Jordan, about the difference between IRC and ORCI. And I do want to have a quick chat about PHS as well, because we've got some fantastic sponsors in the PHS. But tell us the difference between IRC and ORC, because it's not necessarily confusing, but they've all got their own benefits.
Yeah. So what was the goal of the whole rating systems is to take lots of different shapes and sizes of boats and try and work out which crew is sailing their boat the best. So there's predictive analysis of what that sort of sailing boat should perform at. The difference with ORC, it's kind of similar to IRC. You can take an IRC boat, you can move a slightly different keel onto it and be a very successful ORC boat. What they add is to an ORC, it's also a predictive analysis. You put all the measurements into a calculation and come out with a performance. But they also use in ORC a velocity prediction program, and they incorporate what sort of wind is in the race, and so they add that to the calculation. And so some boats go better in light winds, some boats go better in strong winds, and some boats, there's different favours, and so they try to account for that within ORC. So it's similar to IRC, but ORC is more popular in Europe, I would suggest. And Lisa, of course, went to the World ORC dinner last year, didn't you?
I was in Dublin for the World Sailing Conference, and it just happened to be on. So I went with some of the Australian representatives, and then I was asking them all about ocean racing. So I think, there's so many different ways to calculate the handicap, and that's why we see different boats are entering different handicaps, and obviously you have to jump through certain hoops to be able to qualify for those handicaps.
And so performance handicap is really just a rating against it.
This is PHS.
PHS system is basically just calculating if the crew's doing better than they did last time. So it's not really about the boat. It's just how'd the crew go last time? Well, they're doing better this time. So who's had a good race based on how the crew's performance? And so with the rating systems, IRC, ORC, you've got to get measured. It costs a bit of money. PHS, it can just be done, calculated. Doesn't matter what the boat's like.
Excellent. And very quickly, PHS donated by the Holm family's first prize and second prize, Queensland Recreational Boating Council. We thank them very much, and Scarborough Marine for their sponsorship this year as well for PHS. There she is, Black Dog. We got her. There you go. On screen right now, Roger Vinton. We did speak about her before, the J111, and I promised we had some lively people on our feed saying, "Where's Black Dog? Where's Black Dog?" Well, there she is. We've got her as she heads across to the M7.
Well, one of Roger's fondest memories was finishing on Saturday night after hitting 24 knots boat speed, and a crew member who's still proud of being faster than the skipper. So right now he's the skipper, so no pressure, Roger.
There she is. Fantastic boat out of Royal Queensland Yacht Squadron. RQ are able to give so many fantastic boats to this race, and it's wonderful to have RQ with so many boats in this race, and thank you, and g'day to the team down there at RQ.
And just to the right of that shot, I saw a bit of wake, and that looked like the wake from Miyu, the large Cure design catamaran that was in shot there. But that's back to black in front. That looks like the other catamaran, XL2, just down the bottom there. I reckon that looks...
Yep, that's the SAR number 42. Yep, Nick Catley. It was the crew that actually gave us the form, but it actually started life in 1988 as a Lock Crowther Shockwave 38.
Yeah, and it's been extended and bumped. They love cutting them open and extending them. There's Chai just on screen. You can see this is before the start, I think, because they've got everything furled up. So if we go back to...
Yeah, then we've got Chai there. It's good to see them on the screen. This is another one in our ORC, IRC, PHS, a double-handed division. We haven't said too much about the double-handers, but there's quite a few of them in the race, Geordie.
Yeah, I think there's about 5 double-handers. And that is people racing 2 up to get to, and it's sort of maybe the 30-footer style boats that it really suits. I'm a massive fan of this. I think it's a great way. It lowers the cost of sailing. It's very accessible. It's a lot of fun. It's, as we often joke, it's single-handed sailing, but that you're allowed to sleep in. And then, so yeah, that looks like XL2 just scooting along underneath there. But
they're absolutely sending it across that angle there.
Yep. And talking about tides, we've been mentioning the fact that the tide is probably will hit the majority of the fleet, which is outgoing tide in Gladstone, which is going to be difficult for them to sail in. But right now they've actually got an outgoing tide, which will help them through the channel and around the markers and through the Spitfire channel out to Caloundra.
Yeah, well, I learnt for the Brisbane to Gladstone that it's always at high tide, so the race time changes. It's just due to high tide.
Mostly. We've had a change in the last 7 years where it went to midday, but most times it's at 11 o'clock. But it really, when you got big boats with big keels, you've got to make sure you've got enough water underneath.
That's right, yeah. It is around that. The other thing, though, like tide, but then there's current, so there's underflow. Oh, here we go. We've got to completely forget that discussion. Spetsig is on screen, the most wanted to beat boat in the event. It's a double-hander.
Now, this is Spetzig in foreground, not in the background there.
That's an MG14 in the background.
They won't be doing the race. But Spetzig and Peter Kerr, who is a great stalwart of the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, he absolutely loves that boat, and that boat is going to be certainly one to look out for in the Courier Mail Cup.
Well, they've had 5 second-place finishes, so even though everyone wants to beat them, someone gets to beat them the last 5 times.
Have a look at this thing motoring across Moreton Bay.
Left the fender out, though.
He won't be happy with that.
Not slowing them down.
I'm not actually sure that's one of our competitors. That is, I reckon that's somebody out for a day sail on their little hot cat, probably come out of this yacht club, actually.
Spectator boat having a great time in the breeze.
It looks fantastic, though.
It does. I'm trying to look
There's me, you in the background. That's what we're supposed to focus on.
There you go. You can be certainly sailing on Moreton Bay and get coverage all around the world.
I did see a trimaran out there before, so there's a bunch of multi-hull sailors out there. They've come to see Lisa because Lisa is their superstar. And so, yeah, perfect. That's Touche 42 coming in shot, and I'm guessing, is that...
Trying to get some clear air there? Is that what they're doing?
But I'm just trying to see if that's back to black to the right. It's not, though. It's
got a white deck on it.
It's Curb, I think.
Oh, Curb, it is.
You're 42, yeah.
Yes. Look at that. That's great racing. The two Curb-designed boats, neck and neck, heading over to Moreton Island, and that's Moreton Island you can see in the background of that shot. They head over there. There's 2 beacons they've got around, M7 and M8, and then head north through the windy channel. But just as we see... this is this Yendi's?
It could be, yeah.
It does look like her as she's hammering towards Moreton Island at the moment. We'll leave you with that shot as we have to go to a quick break, and we're entering the last 10 minutes of our broadcast here with thanks to the Gladstone Regional Council who make this live broadcast possible. You are watching the Gladstone Ports Corporation Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race 2026.
Hi, I'm John Ibell, skipper of Restless, and our crew. You're watching the Gladstone Ports Corporation 2026 Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race.
The 2026 Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race is brought to you by our principal naming rights partner, the Gladstone Ports Corporation. Adina Watches, official timekeeper of the Beta G. The generous support from these race partners. And this live stream event is brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council's Easter in Gladstone.
Thank you for joining us wherever you may be around this small world nowadays. No AI needed here. This is Back to Black and skippered by Sean Langman, a previous winner of this fantastic race, and that is just chomping along, heading across Moreton Bay towards Moreton Island. She's a ripper. Now, listen, a couple of things, Geordie, I wanted to ask you very quickly is that there's probably a few points along the course, real definite points where strategy is going to take front and centre, whether we're going in towards Gari, getting out of the current, as you've mentioned, staying out wide, opening angles. What's your thoughts here of a couple of main points along the course?
You've got quite a long fetch up to the top of Gari there, so you've got to, you could lay it in and at reach. You can see a Ganaria boy there going in. It's where you go a little wider, further out to sea, you're going to get more pressure. You go into more tide. You're going to lose about half a knot of boat speed going further to the right or further out to sea. Do you want to take that risk? At the moment, I think most of the boats are going to keep it pretty simple. What the sail that they can carry that'll give them the maximum speed, it's going to be as simple as that. It is really about trimming and steering this race. So I don't know, do you agree, Lise, at all?
Yeah, 100%. It's a bit more straightforward, as you said. Just get around this next turning mark, get through Caloundra, and then just optimise the boat, as we were saying. It's about getting the most out of your boat, out of your team, and working together. And I think the good thing is, especially for this front pack, it's a fairly quick race, I guess you would say. So it's about, I guess, optimising and having those shifts. And I guess, what would the watch shifts look like, Geordie, on a 18, 20 to 27-hour race?
Well, you got to take some sleep, but at 18 to 24 hours, you could really not go. You might send a few down for a watch, but normally you do a 4-hour system, something like that. You can see Brett Whitbread's boat there just chucking along right next to Touche 42, so that's a slightly shorter boat. But yeah, 24 hours, most people would be going full bore, but they'd be rotating key positions. So that's what you do. You come off, you'd stay on the rail, but the helmsperson's probably turning over every 1 or 2 hours. And then same from a trimmer perspective. So the kite trim is going to be the main job, trimming that kite. And so somebody will be on the pedestal winding, and someone will be watching. And so you don't want to lose concentration.
Talking about Brett Whitbread and talking about times and being on deck, Brett said in his media form that one of his most things that stuck out about this race is when he did it the first time, and he was on the helm for 20 hours, and small tinnies started appearing out of the dark near rocks, which was him hallucinating, at which point the boat captain decided it was time for him to have a rest. You can't spend overly that much time there without having a bit of rest here and there.
I get really, when I step on a boat, one of the first things is stick to your watch system, rest when you can, because I see too many heroes on boats, and that's when mistakes get made and your performance levels drop, and so rotating. I've been on a boat at 3 in the morning when the skipper's fallen asleep on the helm and he's refused to come off for 10 hours, and then next thing he falls asleep on the helm, and I just go, you're not helping anyone.
No heroes. Troubadour was just on the screen very, very quickly there a minute ago. A Nautica Swan 46. Todd McHenry on the helm out of RQ, and there she is. And I think they're trying to work out which sail to put up next.
Bareheaded change, I guess.
Yeah. But Todd sailed in the 2025 Sydney to Hobart, his offshore qualifier, and has a RYA Sailing Instructor Certificate 2023, and I reckon he's using all of that right now.
It's also a very much a family voyage for Todd. He's sailing with his son and daughter along with some of their mates. So in his own words, it's about passing on the passion for ocean sailing. It's the kind of campaign that reminds you why this race exists, not just for the competitive fleet, but the families and friends who turn up and race for the love of it.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah, it certainly does. It is this is the race for families. It's the race for getting that boat that's done it a few times. Maybe he's got a bit of age on it, starting to think about the 80th. It's in 2 years' time if you need some time to get the boat there, but we'd love to see you over the next couple of years. It really is Queensland's race, and there she is, Troubadour. I think there she is. What a great sight. Look at those beautiful classic lines.
Yeah, that's a swan for sure, isn't it? They're one of the most desirable names in the world of yachting, a swan, and they've obviously much more modern shape now, but they're still very much a seagoing yacht.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, and they're running that pole out the side. I'm trying to work that out. I think they're just leaving it there to go around. Yeah, we don't have to put it up again if we leave it there. So there you go. Once they get around M7, they'll pop another kite and work their way out of the channel. So as you can see, there's a great shot of where the boats are heading.
Yep.
And we haven't seen too many shots of Wild Thing anymore because she's gone. But now we're having a look at some of the more classic and veteran and modern design yachts that are coming into play. I'm hoping that we are hoping to get into Port Skimmer on with our Commodore Dave. We're trying desperately hard to find her at the moment.
I was just saying, mate, as you go over to Moreton Island there, you cruise past Tangalooma, which it is one of the other reasons to enjoy this race, because it's the scenery, like going past Tangalooma, it's really quite beautiful over there. So, yeah, this race just offers.
Yeah, I just did say, I think I said into Port Skimmer. I apologise for that, David Hamilton. And on the screen now we have the Cruising Division's big 100-footer, South Passage. I reckon into Port might be in a couple of these boats, just popping around the mark in a minute.
Well, they did a great job to get to the race, to the start line.
Absolutely, yes, they did. And in fact, it was only last night that they accidentally they got a rope around their prop, which the stress actually broke two of the engine mounts. And so last night they had to work in all hours of the night to repair those engine mounts. And to Richard Priestley and John Farmer, who worked late last night, I know Dave was very appreciative of your time that you spent getting that boat on the water. There's Spitzig. There's not a lot of freeboard in that, but she's a remarkably dry boat for something that is so close to the water. And this is just a glorious boat. If you're worried about, we haven't got the right boat to go to Gladstone, have a look at that. And they do that with love and enjoyment every year.
42 foot long, 7 foot wide. It's one hull of a catamaran.
There you go. It's another way of looking at it. I'm sure Pete won't mind you saying that. In fact, I know he will. But, yeah, look at that. Just tapping along there. Here's Back to Black. And last year's winner of the Courier Mail Cup is exactly the same design as this boat right now. So
it's another box rule, but, yeah.
Pedigree.
Yeah, same. Basically the same thing. So, yeah, she's very well suited to this. But last year was very, very light, remember?
Oh, that's correct, yeah. Okay.
But, yeah, this thing will enjoy it. This thing will absolutely enjoy it. You can see they're trimming to windward there, so that's a good one. That's main sheet.
Yep. Shout out to Glenn Burrell, who will be watching. And, Glenn, we miss you and we want you back in this race as soon as possible. So, look, Back to Black, Sean Langman's sailing there. That's a beautiful shot back there. Look, it does make you want to do the race. Look at that. That's as much upwind as you're going to get for this entire race.
Yeah, so they're doing 11.2 knots there, sailing at 86 degrees. So they're doing all right.
That's your upwind.
Enjoy.
You're welcome.
Oh, fantastic stuff. Look at that. Moreton Bay in all its splendour. Here we go. Have we... Into Port Skimmer. There we go. We've got her.
It's his new mainsail.
There's his new mainsail. We've found her. And David Hamilton, who is the Commodore of the Queensland Cruising Yacht Club, the organising authority of this great race. Finally, we've found her, and there she is, heading across towards Moreton Island. Launched in 1991. First time he's had a sponsor on board, and thank you to Interport for doing that. And he's in the shorthand division.
Double-handed. He reckons the conditions are going to favour him going into this race. He's pretty excited. What do you reckon, Lise?
Yeah, he was pumped. I think he's just a bit relieved to be able to get out there after yesterday. They were out on the water just doing their final check. So before they had that incident. So good to get the mistakes out of the way before the race, but not ideal preparation. But as you said, like two-handed, I mean, it's incredible to see. You get to kind of master it all and work together. You only have to deal with one other person, so maybe that's a positive. But yeah, I think for them it'll be a pretty nice ride. I think it's going to be a bit longer for them. I'm not sure when they'll. Oh, I mean, he said to me actually between 11 and 3 p.m., which sounds like a terrible time for the tide. But that's a pretty quick run if that's what he's thinking.
Fair enough. And look at that. You couldn't have wanted a more perfect ending to our broadcast today. We've gone a little bit over the 12 o'clock mark, and I'm going to have to start paying these guys overtime, which I don't want to do. But there you go. Interport Skimmer heading her way across the mark.
2 sausages for me.
Two sausages in bread. See, you've broken the bank already. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of our broadcast again this year. We are so glad to bring you these pictures of Queensland's iconic race. It's what is brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council. They do this so that you can go to Easter and spend Easter in Gladstone, but also pay homage to this race that's been running for 78 years. Of course, the 80th in 2 years' time is going to be huge, but on behalf of everybody that's part of this production, and it starts many months ago. We're so happy to bring you these pictures, and to our fantastic cameraman and crew here, thank you for being a part of it. Also, I'd like to thank these 2 reprobates on my left-hand side. They do a great job every year, and we're so lucky to have them come back and give us their wisdom. So thank you very much, Lisa. Thank you, Geordie, for being a part of it this year.
Thanks for having us, mate.
It's more than a pleasure. More than a pleasure. Rose between 2 thorns. There you go. One more parting shot for you, Jordan Spencer. Thank you very much for joining us. This has been the Brisbane to Gladstone Yacht Race, proudly brought to you by the Gladstone Ports Corporation, our naming rights partner, and, of course, the live stream brought to you by the Gladstone Regional Council. Enjoy your Easter, everybody, and we'll see you in Gladstone.